Madam Minister, ladies and gentlemen, good friends, Labdien. Culture creativity is a buzzword everywhere. And I think here in the room we are all believers. We don't need to be convinced. As Minister said, we all know that culture creativity are vital in bringing back life to regions, rehabilitating areas in the cities or in the regions that need new life, new breathing. We know that it's a source of jobs and growth and innovation and many, many other things. But then there are a lot of non-believers. And I think one of the key issues, key aims of Radi is to reach out, to get the message across. Something that we in this room might already seem as a natural thing, something that we don't need to be convinced, but we need to keep on pushing this message. It's the 8th Radi, there will be 10th and hopefully 15th and 20th, and we will continue doing this as long as it takes, as long as people understand the value in culture and creativity. We believe that culture matters more than just for identity, more than its intrinsic value, the values that culture brings. It means so much more. And then we come to the regional events. The problem with culture and creativity and creative industries across the world is that it is very much seen and often felt like an urban phenomenon, a metropolitan phenomenon. We see this from country to country, how the vast majority of culture creative activities are focused, are concentrated in the capital areas. So it's not surprised that Riga is the place for culture creative industries. This is where most of the talent is concentrated, and most of the business, and most of the markets, most of the infrastructure. And that's normal. But we want to convince, we want to showcase, we want to highlight that culture has so much more to offer, not only for big cities and big centers, but for every small and medium-sized place around the country, for every region. This has been proven by numerous research made across Europe. We know from many, many case studies that smart investment into culture in a small or medium-sized regions and towns can have a significant impact on a local ecosystem. We also know from the research that investing into culture and creative activities can bring back direct economic impact to the local economy. We know this through the impact of culture creativity to tourism, making the places attractive for visitors, but also, and maybe even more importantly, retaining the talent, the local talent at those places. So these are the challenges and these are the issues we want to work with our regional program. I know that in the audience we also have guests from CESIS and from Liepāja. Tita from CESIS and Atis from Liepāja. Can you maybe join me here for a moment? So as we described earlier, we want to use firstly we want to put culture in the very heart of a local development strategy. We want to use the creative methods, the design thinking methods, to tackle some of these most critical problems that towns and regions like yours are facing every day. So firstly, maybe if I could give you the word, you could briefly share with the audience how do you and how do your regions see the role of culture creativity in the development of the ecosystem locally?
Okay. Liepāja, yes. If you look Liepāja as a visitor, that this is a brilliant city, a city where to live, where to get education, where to go to the concerts or theater. We have very rich these cultural traditions. We have available kindergartens. We have very good healthcare system, and so on and so on. But at the same time, the question is, have we done everything to provide different initiatives? And I mean in this business sector, in cultural, like creative and cultural industries, have we done everything to provide the future and also to provide the, how to say, magnification of new talents in Liepāja, because we are living in very fast and very critical century where we have this competition between our capital cities, and Tallinn is winner now, and Vilnius is the second one, and then only Riga comes. This is the last publication of Davos Economic Forum. And the question is, where is Liepāja as a regional city in this Baltic Sea region? Are we pretty good position comparing with Klaipėda or Tartu in Estonia? And what we can do much better, and this is what we want to solve and want to understand. And also, as you said, education of local politicians and local decision makers. Like yesterday I sent the last email, I can't anymore. Datas, and one more datas about creative industries and that it works. They don't believe anymore, even the numbers, so yes.
Thank you.
About CESIS, I think CESIS is a very good example of how investments in beginning in very traditional cultural events, starting I think already 10, 11 years ago, starting with art festival of CESIS for 1 month. We attracted the interest of the region and from the capital, and it attracted also the people who wanted, who saw CESIS as a very nice place, not only to come for 1 month or 1 weekend, but to live and stay. And 2 years ago we opened a creative space, co-working space, School 6, which already is full. And we are looking forward to new space and to see how we can sustain this this place which we have created, and what would be the idea and the movement for the next big space.
If I may ask Atis, we will organize workshops in all the regions. We will bring together, with the guidance of our experts, local key stakeholders, really from different sides, to tackle some of the critical challenges. We have not yet agreed exactly those challenges. This is the work that will be continuing now, the coming days and weeks. But in your view, what are the most pressing needs that you think we need to turn to culture, creativity for finding good solutions?
We should build creative industry center in Liepāja, the first such center in Latvia. This is what we need. And can you imagine that we have already technical project for that, provided by municipality. We have also this procurement process organized for reconstruction, but the last decision still we don't have, yes. And this is what we need.
And why do you need such a center? What would it give it to Liepāja?
Because we need new pathway for creative industries or small medium enterprises, like also technologies. We can't use old method and put all together in the plane together with the president and say, go and make some export contacts. It doesn't work anymore, or it doesn't work at all. And we need to find new ways and new perspectives and new content, and it's so important because after these, for example, youngsters, they're graduating art school or design school or music school in Liepāja, which is perfect place to get education in culture or in design or music. And what's next? What's next step? Where to go? To business incubator? Okay, yes, they come and they are very active. But what's next? What can we offer? What kind of labs we can offer? And this is the questions we need to solve, and very, very fast.
Yeah, for CESIS, one of the issues in industry is the entrepreneurs are developing, but then there is this how to enter new markets, and mostly also exporting markets. And for some entrepreneurs who have very good product and bold product, I could say, they need this marketing strategies, but for some there are very good craftsmanship and skills how to prepare or to produce the product, but there is lack of understanding, and sometimes they don't see their product how it looks in the world scale. So for sure, design thinking and designing methods for new entrepreneurs.
Thank you very much. As you saw, we are going to tailor-made. We're going to provide tailor-made solutions for each of the region. We're not going to have one ready question that will fit every single region. We will discuss with local stakeholders. In some of the places it might be more about developing centers. In some other places it might be more about developing business ecosystem, and I think this is the right way to go. What is very important is that this is just a piloting thing that we do. What is important is that this should not be a campaign. This is not a one-time thing. It should be an activity that takes place on a regular basis. European Union program Culture Creativity has published a policy, kind of a handbook on how to develop creative industries in small and medium-sized towns and regions. So specifically, so we want to look at that, that handbook, and we want to see how this kind of an approach, either this handbook or similar handbook developed precisely for Latvia, could help all your towns and regions to take more strategic, more holistic approach on developing culture creative resources that they have. There's this big problem in the world that as of today, more than 160 towns and regions and cities are calling themselves creative. More than 160. Now the problem, why I said problem, is that in many, many cases this is just a word. It doesn't really mean anything. Everybody wants to be creative. Or they wanted to be creative city because it was a cool thing to be. Nowadays, since maybe it's not anymore so cool thing to be, now they want to be smart cities or green cities or whatever it is. Now, what we want to do with Radi is to bring the real culture and the real creative resource and the potential back. We don't want just fancy words. We don't just somebody to be called creative, but we want them to understand that whether you take the focus on business development or digital development as a smart city or ecological development being a green city, whatever you choose to be, and that's okay, culture and creativity is the glue that gives meaning to whatever you want to be. It is very, very difficult to be a town or a region of technology which is not for its citizens, which does not offer that attractive, that kind of environment that is rooted very strongly in the traditions and the heritage that the place comes from. So these are the challenges we're going to tackle. We are so happy that you are on board, and we hope to be able to give you back very good news by the end of Radi this year, Thank you very much. Paldies!